Hello guys, so this is GTA 5 at 1080p at really the highest settings possible available in GTA, running on an i7 8700K at about 4.7 gigahertz overclock with an EVGA 1080 Ti for the Win 3 with the RAM at 3866 megahertz overclocked as well. And this is really proof that even GTA in 2018 with honestly the most powerful single core processor and the most powerful GPU besides the Titan V. Really, I mean, it can be handled. It can be tamed with even this setup, which is really considered to be extremely high end, if not the best. So just proof that really everything is at high. And to be honest, I was really debating whether I should make this test with, as you can see here, MSAA times 8 or times 4. But look, we want the highest settings because as we can see, MSAA times 8 is really the FPS killer. Just to give you an example, I'll give you an example before we start. Anyways, so here we see also these are at max. So let's go here. We see that the frame per second right now is about 46 right here. If I go and I put MSA times 4 really quick just to give you an idea. I mean, the frame rate should double if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Okay, sorry, it didn't double, but it did go up quite a bit. It's probably because it's a very densely populated area. But it does cause, oh, we see it going up a bit. It went from about 40 to about 61. So, but for the purpose of the test, let's go back to times 8. And if you guys would like a times 4 versus a times 8, just let me know in the comments. For now, we're just going to go ahead and do the test this way. And alright, so times 8, looking good. And alright, so see you in a bit. Gonna mute the mic now. Alright, so as we can see here, compared to when I was playing really on high settings with about 2 times MSAA, what we can see here is that really I was getting about between 150 to 180 FPS, and I mean, visually, graphically, I don't know. I really don't see that much of a difference, except for the fact that my FPS has been cut in by more than half. Sorry, by more by more than half. Yes. Sorry, what am I saying? Okay, let's say I went from about 150 FPS to 180 FPS on average with the high settings to the max ultra settings, which really in the city when I'm driving brought me down to about 60. When I'm flying right now, we can see that it's about 80. Oh, if you look upwards, sure, it can be around 150, 160. That's pretty nice looking, but let's get real, no one's gonna play the game like that, so let's see what happens when you fly around. See, you go down to the 80s, to the 60s, to the 50s, and you want to do some low driving where you generate a bit more vehicles and more draw distance. You see, look at the FPS, it goes down to about 47. So this is a game that was released in 2013 that still really brings down any piece of hardware to the knees. We have the 8700K overclocked, we have the 1080 Ti for the Win 3 that's overclocked out of the box, and we have the RAM overclocked to from 2133 megahertz stock speeds to 3866 megahertz, almost double the speeds overclocked. So this just goes to show that really, I mean, this game is, I don't know. It's either extremely badly optimized or it's, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, you know? Anyway, so I'm just going to do some flying around a bit and you be the judge. Just take a look at the numbers. mean, that was pretty unfortunate, but okay, I wanted to land. Anyways, at least we get to see what the FPS is like on the ground. I mean, look, you really have to benchmark this game the way you want to play it. You can do standard benchmark, sure, but uh, there is no benchmark for what the game is like online. It doesn't take into consideration. Sorry, the GTA 5 benchmark that comes with the game doesn't take into consideration uh, the CPU load from the server, from generating all the players, and it's not really an accurate representation. So you really got to get into the game yourself. So we've done sort of the countryside of Los Santos, I guess, and now we're gonna go ahead and do the city side. I'm just gonna go ahead and call my car. In terms of how the game looks, to be honest, I mean, I do have to say it. If you really start focusing on the details, yes, you can notice something. But sometimes with ultra settings, I have to say, you put it on ultra so you think it looks good. So your mind does play tricks on you, thinking, "Oh, okay, it's on ultra. It definitely looks better." But the details are sometimes so indistinguishable, especially like if you're playing at 1080p. 1080p is not as nice looking as 2K, or otherwise known as 1440p, or 4K, or otherwise known as 3840 by 2160. It does have its limits. Sure, you can polish it and make it look nice, but I mean, how can I say this? 1080p has its limits, so playing on ultra graphics sometimes won't benefit you as much as playing, let's say, on medium graphics at 1440p, which might require even less processing power and make it look nicer overall. So sometimes the difference between high and ultra is really nothing. I mean, it is there, but it's very minimalistic, and sometimes you start focusing on the details, uh, and you'll realize it's really not worth it. And the thing is, you could lower down the settings and you could get a much, much higher frame rate. Okay, so sorry, now back to the subject of the frame rate testing. We can see here that it's running in the city at about 80 to 90 FPS. It's running way nicer than when we were in traffic on the highway. I do have to say, I mean, this is a pretty playable. I mean, obviously not as nice as between 130 FPS to 180 FPS like we were getting on high, but it's pretty acceptable. I gotta say, I mean, but honestly, for me, I wouldn't play on these settings even with my setup. I would honestly stick to whatever I can have a consistent 144 frames per second frame rate. That's just how I am. Anyways, so let's continue. Really, the benchmark that hurts also the most, sorry, the benchmark that hurts frames per second the most would actually have to be driving through this part of the city. I know there's lots of frame drops here experienced by a lot of people, so actually maybe, oh, I don't know, maybe the 8700K is able to handle it. It's still staying at about 90, 95. Okay, never mind. Yeah. In terms of picture quality, yes, I do think there's a slight improvement, but none that would warrant sort of your frames per second being dropped from 140 FPS to about 80 to 90. Anyways, all right, let's go back to testing it out. So it really feels like the highest drop in frames we had was when we went to drive on the highway, and then as soon as we left the highway, we sort of got a really big FPS boost. I thought the whole benchmark was going to be at around 46 frames per second, like when we started. Oh, there we go. We're back down into the 40s and the 50s. But surprisingly, the test actually went way better than expected. In the air, we were hitting between 100 to 120 FPS. In some places in the city, we were hitting between 80 to 100. the test seems on average to be somewhere in the 80s, 90s on ultra, with 1080p on really the highest settings achievable in GTA. It depends really on the area. GTA is the frame rate will vary depending on which area of the map you're spending time in. That's for sure. I don't even. I'm actually curious what would happen if we went into the grassy part. You know, where because ultra grass does tend to really destroy the frames per second. I just need to see if I can find an area. Anyway, so I'll just go ahead and do that and put the music back on. Right, so here we are in really the grassiest, well, not the grassiest, but you know, a pretty grassy area in Grand Theft Auto. And if we look directly down, we see that like it really feels a bit choppy, you know. We see the FPS. Wow, we're at 30 FPS. Guys, this is a game from 2013 on max settings, and we went down to 30 FPS, but this is the basically the best, well, not really the best because of the Titan V, but really the best hardware for mainstream right now, 1080 Ti and 8700K. And look what it's doing to the game. 30 FPS. Oh, 29. So it looks like the lowest FPS we've reached is about 29. So that concludes the grass test. And my tip to you: never play with. Honestly, just put grass on normal. It really doesn't make a difference. The game's gonna feel so slow. You can't really enjoy the grass on that setting. Just enjoy the high frame rates. That's how I like to play. Uh, but anyways, so we've kind of explored every single possible way that the game can be affected by ultra settings with this setup. So I hope you enjoyed and tune in for next time. This is Andre's channel and have a good day. Ciao, ciao.